Meeting of the Wetzel County Board of Education is called to order. We'll begin with an opening pledge of allegiance led by Mr. Yeager, followed by invocation of honor. Anyone not wishing to participate may stay seated.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, we thank you for our students. We thank you for our service personnel and professional personnel that care about them. We thank you for the parents, families, and community that support us and care about those children. We thank you for those children. We are blessed. Amen.
First item on the agenda is delegations, and I do not believe we have any, so that will be scratched off. So the next item is superintendent's information.
Okay, thank you. Good to see everybody tonight. Just wanted to give you a little update. I sent you the week in review last week. I hope you all read that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Dr. Kathleen McNally of the Southern Regional Education Board will begin strategizing with district administrators during our 8 o'clock staff meeting next Monday. She'll be coming in to talk with the administrative staff here at the county office. The big goals that we're working on are walkthroughs targeting the 2 district goals, community and parent focus groups, and an analysis of teaching and learning artifacts, assignments, lesson plans, and assessments. We will then organize as an administrative group a baseline landscape with the data that we have gathered, and we will revisit this on October 25th at our next Monday staff meeting. Dr. McNally and the administrative team at the county office will discuss school level efforts at our meeting with the principals on November 3rd. So I wanted to keep you all up to date on our work with SREB. I attended a legislative forum last Monday. Present from Wetzel County were Elliot Kendall and Shauna Kendall and Mr. Castello as well. So you were there, were you?
Where was the meeting?
In John Marshall?
No.
I made up stuff. I made up stuff. Just 3 of us. I thought you were there. Sorry, BC.
No.
Okay.
I didn't.
Anyway, we were there, and some of us in spirit apparently. There were big takeaways. The 3 delegates that were present were Lisa. How do you say? Zukoff. That's how you say her last name, from Marshall County. Sean Fluharty from Ohio County, and Dave Pestel from Wetzel County. One of the big issues that we talked about, of course, were 18A and 18-18A and proposed changes to that particular policy. And alarmingly, the proposed redistricting of the state, legislative redistricting. The big thing that Wetzel County needs to be aware, the predominant map of favor right now in the legislature will divide Wetzel County up into 4 different voting districts. And Wetzel County will be on the end of all these districts, kind of the rural end of all these bigger districts. Even more alarmingly, one entire community in our county will be totally split, and that will be the Shortline community. Valley High School from Pine Grove to Folsom, that area will be district with Harrison County, and that will be one of the districts. Then from Galmish on out toward New Martinsville, I think will be with Tyler County, and another, somewhere else, another piece of one of the other counties. And so that will split the Shortline community. We will have 2 schools in the same community with different legislators. So that's alarming to me as a voter. It's alarming to me as a superintendent. And I thought that you guys would like to know that is a proposal that is gaining some favor pre-session with the legislature. So something for just us to keep our eyes open. The 3 that were present were very pro-education, pro-teacher, pro-board, pro-administration. It was a nice pep rally, kind of, and good to be around people who really care about kids and care about what's going on in our state as far as increasing achievement and as far as treating people well. So it was a good evening. I enjoyed being there. Mr. Kendall, I think you'll agree it was nice to be there. But we are concerned about the redistricting and thought that you would like to know that. National Principals Month is this month. So we are excited with the NASSP, the Secondary Principals Association. We have the Elementary Principals Association. And we are, they nationally have National Principals Month. So at the next board meeting, I will be bringing a proclamation for us to read and be signed. And we would like to have principal recognition at the LSIC meeting. So when the principals that are there, we would like to recognize them for their efforts with our students and with our communities. The Aspiring Administrators Academy applications are due this Friday. The Experienced Teacher Leader Academy applications are due next Friday. And the Beginning Teachers Academy applications will be posted this Friday and then due on October 29th. So that is all I have. If anybody has any questions, now's the time to ask.
Mr. Pethel's position is kind of in jeopardy too.
Well, it would plot him against Ms. Zukov. It would plot the two of them against each other. And he's had 30 years in. And Ellie, did you say that he would not run against her?
That's my understanding.
Yes, that's what I understood too. So, and not because he fears anything, he just that he's had a long time in service and,
Just a matter of principle, he would run against her.
Yes, yes. So-
He's being gerrymandered into oblivion, is what's happening.
Yes.
That's just the truth of it.
Well, that's exactly right.
So, that's alarming to those of us in Wetzel County, to divide our small rural county up into 4 different districts and making us even, we would be on the outskirts of all the districts. So, I fear that this division would make us the last thought of in the districts, and we would be, I just think it would be detrimental to our county in a negative way. So I'm just wanted you guys to know that, and that's my personal opinion, and I'm just letting you guys know that that's out there.
Is there any course of action that?
Yes, call the Speaker of the House. So,
This is what
yes,
I could add to that.
you can.
I saw Metro News just a bit ago that the House did pass out a committee that map with us in our 4 districts. I did speak to Mr. Pethel last Thursday, and he told me that he would not run against Lisa Zukov.
Okay.
Since she's top notch and he's been there for 30 years, is what
Right.
she said.
Yeah. So, it's alarming for Wetzel County, I feel. So, especially for the short line community that would have 2 different schools, 2 different legislators. So, talk about it right now. Anyway, that's my story and I'm sticking to it, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions, board members? Next item, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, no, you mentioned the review you sent out. I just wanna say thank you, that was an excellent review of the week for us,
Okay.
to keep us all updated and on the right track.
Right, well, thank you.
And I just wanted to say thank you.
That's going to be a weekly occurring thing now.
Thank you.
Regularly occurring. You're welcome.
Anything else? Next item then is superintendent's recommendation to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from September 27th. Is there a motion? It has been moved to accept the minutes from September 27th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and properly seconded to accept those minutes. Any questions or comments relating to the minutes? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is personnel matters. I have a familiar connection in this list, and so I'm going to recuse, and Mr. Yeager can take over from here. Oh, leave me out here too long.
Under superintendent's recommendations concerning personnel matters, we have resignations, professional personnel, service personnel, extracurricular positions, and leave of absences. Are there any questions or comments concerning personnel matters? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the superintendent's recommendations under personnel matters.
Is there a second? It's been Been properly moved and seconded that we approve the superintendent's recommendations under personnel matters. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Personnel matters passed.
Mr. Yeager. Next item on the agenda then are routine matters. There are a couple of out-of-state trips and some chaperone lists. Are there any questions or comments about those routine matters? Is there a motion relating to those matters?
Councilor Moon.
It has been moved to accept the routine matters outlined by the superintendent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Yes. Again, I ask you, are there any questions or comments relating to those? Not hearing any. All in favor to accept those, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The two matters are approved. Next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Will somebody be in his stead to share anything? Is there anything addition we need to?
There's nothing in addition to the packets that you received, is my
Okay.
understanding.
So that means there's no transfers
Right.
and increases in the budget,
Yes.
just the approval of the.
Just the approval of it, okay.
To pay the bills, basically.
That's all
we're doing.
Okay,
Mr. Lancaster has not been dealing with.
I understand.
Okay.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Not fine that he's not
So I
present.
thought it was-
We understand that he's,
Yes.
that's okay that he's not present.
Yes.
And so, then is there a motion to approve, the payment of the bills for September?
So moved.
Has been moved. The payment of the bills, is there a second?
Second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the discussion about establishing the LSIC meetings. You know, we talked about we'll send out a few dates that we were considering. I know there's always, when you're trying to put a lot of people together, and so
Yes.
pardon my rudeness, I'm not talking, I'm grabbing my calendar so we can work through this together.
I'm doing the same thing. I've got mine written in there, so.
But board members you saw the tentative schedule that was sent out. Did anybody have an opinion, a thought, anything that you'd rather do differently?
I'm not available the first and third Tuesdays.
Okay.
And I've got some conflicts with a couple of those Tuesdays as well. Is Thursday a better day? Can we look at some Thursdays?
November or October? No, I'm good.
And I know there's still be some junior high football and that kind of thing going on Thursdays for a little while yet, for a few weeks. But, cause originally you were looking at,
I gave a couple scenarios.
yes.
We could do 2 days a week and knock out a couple, and we could knock out a couple a week for 2 weeks. We could knock out, 4 different Thursdays or whatever days of the week we wanted to.
Anybody, again, we're just looking for, anybody's got a preference towards anything, would you rather?
I'm good on Thursdays most of the time, except for I believe the 28th is a Thursday of this month.
Yes.
I am not available then, I'm running a conference.
Okay.
My preference would be to try to get 2 in 1 week and get them all done in the 2 weeks.
Okay.
But that's just a preference. I'm not opposed to 1 a week.
Yeah.
What's gonna be our protocol as far as?
What's the
One school.
logistics in this?
Yeah. 2 schools.
We're
Yeah.
doing like 100 Long Drain Valley Short Line the same evening?
Yes, at one
At
location.
one location, I think was what we talked about potentially before.
Like-
That's like we have.
Yes, like we have been
Yes.
doing
Tradition,
before.
yes.
And, I think that
I don't know.
simplifies, I thought it made it a little bit harder to try to
Yes.
rush to the next school.
Mhm.
You felt like you were always rushed.
That's okay with me. Well, I just wanna speak frankly, I guess. Are we gonna have the discussion that we need to have concerning the LSICs that's required by the legislature?
Yes, sir. Mhm.
Okay.
That, we started covering that.
Yes. You know, I'm certainly that, the school can showcase what they want, but I want more than that.
Right. You want what's required by law in the
Yes.
LSICs, you want the, and let me just see if this is accurate.
And that's my personal.
That's your personal opinion, the LSIC requirements, the goals of their strategic plan, and what else? The
No,
safety
I-
report.
If they wanna have something, I don't want, if schools wanna showcase something, that's fine,
Mhm.
but let's keep it to a, you know, we're gonna have two schools there to discuss,
Right.
with the LSICs. And I assume we're doing those separately,
Yes,
okay, at one school. And,
I mean, that's your all's will and pleasure, you guys can tell me differently, but that was just my idea. I mean, you may wanna have something else.
No, not, I think if I just piggyback on what Mr. Yeager said, I think what we're trying to say maybe is just simply, we wanna hear what these schools are needing for us to improve. What can we do to help them
Yes.
improve their academic standards and the quality of the education they're providing in those buildings?
Okay.
That's where we want to focus on. There's plenty of other avenues to talk about, facility issues and those kinds of things. There's other ways to communicate those kinds of things before the board. The LSICs, now if there's some particular facility need that is connected to some academic purpose that they're trying to serve, then I get that.
that's absolutely right.
Right, that's germane, but that's what we're trying to avoid, you know, and in some senses, we don't, and I'm trying to be, you know, I'm trying to be politically correct as you were too, but we don't necessarily even need for somebody to run numbers for us. We can look at a sheet of numbers, you know what I mean? We can do that
Okay.
without having somebody just kind of say, well, we did 1% growth in this and 2%. Well, you can provide that for us, but we can look at that on our own. We don't, you know, we wanna hear, what are they doing to try to improve? What's this committee think they could do to improve, not us, that LSIC think
Right.
they could do to help improve the academic standard in that building, and what do they need from us to make that happen?
That is perfect, I think the principals will be relieved, because they are very happy with the fact that we're sticking to 2 strategic plan goals, and
Yeah.
one of them is instructional
There you
leadership.
go.
So I think this will make the principals very happy.
Okay, so that's, and again, I'm not trying to speak on you all's behalf, but that's what I'm looking for. And I think I'm probably accurate in saying that that's kind of what the board's looking for.
Okay.
Cause that's what LSIC's about.
I can definitely articulate that message, and the principals will, I'm sure the LSICs and the principals will take that and it will be good.
And I think if they wanted to, you know, if they wanted us to do a walkthrough or go look at something, then maybe let's pick how much ever time, if we need 15 to do that or 30 to do that, then, you know, if we need 30 to do it, then say that happens at 6 and the meeting will start at 6:30, the actual
Okay.
meeting. Where we actually have the discussion with the LSIC.
Are we gonna be at the elementary or the high school?
Last time we were at the high schools, weren't we?
Or we went to both?
You went to
Yeah, the
both.
last couple of
Years.
we were
Okay.
years, last year we did the virtual, and then the 2 years prior to that, we were trying to
We did both schools.
run to both
That's
schools.
right, that's
and-
right, it's been so long.
and,
Let's do the high schools, because they have the auditoriums.
uh,
Is that okay with you guys,
Yes.
this time? Okay.
Situation short on.
Paul, will you let your principals know that?
Yes, I will.
Well, that's,
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
Okay.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
For 3 of them, could we, if the board agrees, I'm not trying to speak for everybody, but for 3 of them, Peyton City, the Riverfront, and the 100 area, we could go to the high schools.
Okay.
In the short line area, I think we need to go to both schools.
Wanna go to both or
Because the
just one?
situation is Shoreline School.
Okay, do you just wanna go to Shortline then, and have Valley come down to Shortline, or do you wanna go to both schools?
I don't know. It's
Let's
up-
do,
Why don't we just do elementaries instead of high schools?
This year.
But I think I see what you're saying too, Mr. Yeager, is that
Yes.
we have to go to short lines.
There-
And they may need more time or
It may
whatever
be,
resolve.
it may be a more difficult discussion.
Gotcha, okay.
The other ones, we could go to the high school, the other three areas, but Mr. Yeager's correct, but by law, by code or something like that, we should go to short line. Because
That's
Yeah,
what
it's,
we're required.
it's mandated. to
We
go.
have to have that
We have to have a meeting,
LSIC,
but it
and I
doesn't
think
have
it's
to be-
appropriate that,
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate that it should be
I agree.
there, that's.
I agree.
We can see the work that they've done out there and everything too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think about.
If you wanna just go to the elementary schools, we could. Will that be?
And then next year we can just go back to the high schools. Okay, that might make it easier.
And then if one of them has a conflict, that's, you know what I mean, one of those other three, if there's a conflict, something, they're like, oh, that would really work, but I don't think it's a big deal for us to, just to let us know and say, we're doing that at Magnolia instead because of this.
Right.
As
Okay.
long as we get that word out, in the special meeting
Right.
announcement, where it is and where it's located ahead of time.
Okay.
If there's some conflict, let's try to get the elementary schools, but if there's some conflict with going on, I think there's some flexibility when it comes to that.
Let's have the high schools present first.
Okay,
I agree.
And if there's some event going on in the school,
we'll adjust.
high school, we'll switch to the other one, like somebody should happen to have volleyball or somebody should happen to
Yeah,
have
we'll
something
adjust.
going on. There's too much parking conflict and building conflict,
We will definitely adjust.
people conflict.
Okay, now all that's left is the dates.
So, is everybody, I know you said you had a conflict on Thursday the 28th, is that what you're
The
talking
state
about?
science conference I'm having, right?
And I cannot be here on Thursday, November 11th. But I have
But the
an assistant for
first
this
and
year.
third
First and third Tuesdays, I guess.
that was a holiday.
First Tuesday.
Yeah.
That was the holiday.
Oh, that's true, that is a holiday, so I don't have to worry about it, yeah. And November 11th is Veterans Day, so.
There's no election.
Yeah, that's
Do we maybe do Monday and Thursday next week, and then the first week of November?
That gives,
That gives them enough time.
Oh,
Let's
that's good.
give it some time.
Let's give them a little
Okay.
extra time. So today's the 11th, I wouldn't wanna do anything.
We'll put this
Okay,
up
so
center
let me
Monday.
ask this, can can you do the first Monday?
Unless she can't do it that night, she can tell us when she can do it. She might be able to do it another night.
Yeah, I can, I prefer not to, but.
Okay, well, no, I'm just asking, cause I thought maybe we could do two, the week of November 1st, we could do the 1st and the 4th. But if that's a conflict, I'm okay with that, we could just maybe get one in on the,
So we are definitely at 11-4. That's the first.
Thursday
yeah, I
the
think we
4th?
should do one on the, yeah, let's, November the 4th.
Where we will start.
Traditionally, we've started at Long Drain 100, that's been traditional, but doesn't mean we have to keep going.
My only thought was though, in case there is anything like COVID outbreak or snow or something, we have to get short line.
Yes, we do, so do you wanna start
That's
with short
true.
line?
So maybe we should start with short line
Mhm.
Valley, just so that we make sure we get the one that we have to get.
That's smart. Okay.
So,
November 4th then?
yeah, if you could check with them and just make sure that there's not any major conflicts with them on that.
Because you're right, the others that we would have are required, so if something would happen
Yeah.
Hopefully nothing will, but something
This
will
one
work
is
okay.
required.
Yes, it is. Okay?
And then I know that's back to back, but can we, with a regular board meeting, but can we do the 9th? That's Tuesday. So this would be on.
Tuesday the 9th is good for me.
Can we do that? So let's add, so Thursday, November 4th, Tuesday, November 9th.
Let's get them all.
Yeah.
That's 2 meetings in December. So then maybe like the 16th and 18th of November, that would finish them.
That would be the third Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is the third Tuesday.
What about the
Can you
fifteenth?
do the third
Can you do the
Monday?
third Mondays? I know you.
I can.
Okay. I wondered if we could do the 15th and the 18th.
You'll do the 15th, will be the register. Okay.
What is the 15th?
It's a
That's
Monday.
11, 15.
Are you not available?
I'm not available that day, but Mr.
Oh,
Cook
okay.
is. Mr. Cook is.
Well, no, no, let's keep working here.
Okay.
The
The
challenge,
18th works, right?
but the 18th is okay?
Mhm, yes.
So that would be,
That's a Thursday.
that's a Thursday.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess I know it seems like we're pushing these further out, but I don't know that there's any statute as it relates to that.
No, just a short one.
Just that you have to do
Yes.
that one, but if there's no time constraint.
Some counties do it in the end of the year, in the
Yeah.
spring.
Right.
That's a.
We actually did that this past year, in
Right.
the spring.
Agenda prepared.
Yeah, it has to
So
be 30 days.
30 days.
You just for short lines, has to be 30 days.
So we may have to put them at the end of this
Yeah.
list then. They may have to be the 18th then,
Okay.
because.
We have to give them 30 days.
They have
notice.
to have 30 days.
It was a good idea, Mrs. Connor.
Okay.
It really was.
So the 18th will be short
Short
line.
line.
Okay.
We long drain to the first one in like we normally would do.
Okay.
All right. So, and then just put Magnolia and Martinsville School on the 9th if that works for them.
Okay.
And then we just need to find a date for Peyton City.
Yes.
The week after that would be the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Challenge with October
Not the end after Thanksgiving, the week after.
is I know they play football on the 21st, they play football on the 22nd. They've got the Halloween festivities in Peyton City are on the 26th.
I think if we just get into November.
Yeah.
And just
try
not
to
forget
stay
about
out.
October.
Yeah. So, but the next week is
The week after Thanksgiving.
So Tuesday the 30th?
Don't wanna look at the end of October then, possibly? October 28th?
And that was, Mrs. Faulkner
Faulkner
put
out
out
that.
I mean, if
Right.
I'm the only one, I don't
No,
know how
no.
it is.
We've been bouncing around.
October 21st? Too soon?
They've got, I know, unless we moved a different school to it, because I know Peyton City's they play junior high football,
Yeah.
on the 21st.
What about back to the Monday, November 1st? Mr. Yeager, did you say you could or could not?
I could, but I prefer not to.
Okay.
I mean, I know 30th is late, but that's, November 30th is a Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, might as well just knock them out.
There's
and go.
five.
There's 5 Tuesdays.
That would be fine.
I mean, that would put them all in November.
Right.
I realize that's putting Peyton City coming out of Thanksgiving break, but they'd have Monday they'd have the longest amount of time to
Yes, to
prepare,
get
and
ready.
they'd have Monday before the meeting
Yes.
to prepare, so I don't know that that'd be too much of a hardship.
I'm gonna review those just to make sure we don't have it.
Yeah, so what I have presently, is Long Drain 100 on November 4th, Martinsville School of Magnolia on November 9th. Shortline Valley on November 18th. And the two paid cities on November 30th.
Yes.
And what I would recommend before we put any announcements about special meetings, as it relates to these, is reach out to all those groups, if you would, for us, Mrs. Wells, I'd appreciate that, and just make sure that there's not some major conflict that we don't know about.
Right.
And if we needed to maneuver, like if one said, well, I can't do the 30th, but I could do the 9th, and the person on the 9th said, well, that 30th is no big deal to me, so then if you needed to switch them, you could. As long as we could stay to these 4 dates, that'd be great. But if you need to move a school, so long as we get the 30-day window for short line, we're okay.
Okay.
What about a starting?
So,
You want to do the 6 o'clock like Mr. Rice suggested, 6 o'clock for walkthroughs and entertainment, 6 o'clock meeting, 6:30 meeting starts sharp.
so
At 6 o'clock, we'll be there to do
yeah, if they wanted to
if they want to,
showcase
yeah,
or show anything.
yeah.
If they
I don't
want-
think we wanna require schools
No.
to do that. Do
No.
you?
No.
I don't wanna require them to
No.
have, if they don't want that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
Talk.
meetings will start at 6:30.
Okay.
Those
Okay.
meetings will start at 6:30.
Mhm.
And if schools choose to showcase something they would like the board to come and see, just let us know, and we can be there as early as 6 to do
Yes.
that.
Got it. Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Mhm.
Okay.
That works.
And we don't need any official action on that. The
Long
official
range will be
action will come
shorter
out when the
because
special
it's
sessions come out.
What did he say?
I didn't catch it, but I'll watch YouTube later.
Sorry, Mr. Rice, I just couldn't resist.
Any other issues around the LSIC discussion? I appreciate it. I know that's the task, and again, please let your principals and LSIC committee people know that if we've got major conflicts, we'll try to accommodate, because we know it's coming.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Next item on the agenda then is committee reports. Are there any committee reports to share with us this evening?
I did attend the mental health and wellness committee. I was quite impressed that the majority of our directors are on this committee, and I like that because we all are playing a part in this. By all means, you guys can help me fill in here. I would like to see if we can get a copy of the notes for the board members. Well, if you wouldn't mind speaking with Ms. Novotny about that.
I can forward them right now.
That,
Mhm,
that
we have
also,
beautiful notes, Mrs. Schreiber.
But I can do it as well.
most of the time, that's the easiest way for us to, report out to the board, is with a copy of the notes. They're working on, creating a list of their goals. And we're going to, meet again the end of October on the 27th. And not long after that, they're also gonna bring in some community members for their input as well.
Thank you. Any other committee reports then?
Multi board meeting has been changed to October the 19th.
Policy is still waiting on legal, so we have not met or had any further policy issues that we've addressed. So. If there are no other committee reports then, thank you everybody for that. Next item on the agenda then is the accountability portion of our agenda, so Mr. Love again.
I'd like to start by saying I didn't totally lose my mind because I know what meeting you were at, the quarterly review of the strategic plan the other night along with Mrs. Cooley. We had 2 board members present, and that's a huge accountability piece for us. We reviewed the county strategic plan with we have a 75-member strategic plan committee in this county. And the 75 did not show up, but we had a nice showing. We are looking, hopefully, that our parent volunteers and representatives will show. We only had 1 parent show up that was actually there in the form of parent on that committee. Many of us are parents, but only 1 that was representing the parents showed up. However, she had valuable input, and we were glad to have her there. all of the central office staff talked about their portion of the strategic plan and how it related to our strategic plan goals and how it related to the 7 standards for effective schools. They all got up and talked, and then we had breakout sessions. At the end of the first goal and all of our presentations, we had a breakout session where the schools could get together, come up with questions that they wanted to pose to us or concerns, and then we gave them an opportunity to pose those questions. And then we went back to the second goal and did the same thing over again. Had a lot of positive feedback from that meeting, and we're looking forward to the semester review at the end of the first semester, and we invite you to please come to that. We are on track and on schedule to meet the goals that we have put in place as far as meeting the action steps and doing the strategies, implementing the strategies that we have in the strategic plan. Of course, whether or not we meet the goals will come out when we have our final assessment results and some survey results and different things that are part of that strategic plan. But it was a wonderful meeting, and I applaud people that took time out of their evening. As I told them the other night, it's a labor of love to take that much time out of your evening, and many traveled from the 100 area and the Short Line area to come out, as well as here on the riverfront. And it was definitely needed for all of us, and it was a good meeting. So I thank everybody for that. Next up, my assistant, Mr. Cook.
I really don't have too much, you know, again, unfortunately, I'm keeping busy trying to fill the positions we have. We still got several that, we still haven't been able to fill. But our biggest issue really right now is substitute teachers, substitute custodians, substitute everything. That is an issue everywhere in the state, but, today wasn't quite as bad. Our numbers are starting to drop as far as, how many people we have out sick. So I think that's starting to improve, even though it doesn't look like it when you look at the state map and all that. I think our numbers are improving. I think I only signed 3 papers today. So the less amount of papers I have to sign throughout the course, the better we are doing. And I think hopefully we're gonna get over that hump and start getting people back in there. But my biggest thing is with substitutes is looking at how many substitutes we actually have. We've got plenty of substitutes out there. It's just the fact that they're not working, that they chose to take themselves out of the system, that they've been called 500 times and only responded to, 4 times. They just taking it, and that's an issue. And
we're not alone in that issue.
Yeah, we're not alone in that issue. And it's a lot older, more seasoned people that are afraid. They're still afraid. And I can't blame them that they're afraid. However, we gotta still run these schools. So I know we're getting by. We're now offering teachers, right now it's $30 to pay for their planning period, to take a period to teach, trying to cover those gaps the best we can. But again, we are in the same pickle as everybody else. Every time I run into somebody that I know was a teacher, was an educator, was a bus driver, was a custodian, anywhere I run into them, I'm like, hey, what are you doing now? Still doing that? You can come over and work for us. So we're always recruiting. Everybody's recruiting. I know you guys are out there recruiting too, because you had to step out of here, so I know you must have had a family member there involved getting as a substitute. And it's tough, but I think, a little bit at a time. But if everybody chips in and goes actively recruiting, that's how this thing's gonna turn around, hopefully we'll get more quality people in position to help our students. We're working it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Mr. McPherson.
We are still dealing with supply chain issues that have affected us with our laptops. Something that's usually done within the first 5 or 6 days of school didn't get completed until last week, and that was every kid got their first laptop. That's never happened before. To put it in perspective of how bad things are, when we initially got into this, we had 150 extras, and we were always fine. And with our drop in enrollment, we should have closer to 250 extras, and if you were to come out to my office right now, you would see that there aren't any. So as we get them, we do distribute them to the schools as quickly as possible to try to swap out with students with problem laptops, but it's just like what Mr. Cook just talked about. It's not just us, it's everywhere, and
I've said over and over again, I think what frustrates me the most is beyond that it's happening is I can't do anything about it, and it's very frustrating. And, you know, we don't have this massive horde of laptops that we're just holding back. As soon as we get enough to get out there, which is 8 or 9, at that, we get them out there. So, in good news, we are going to apply for ECF money and see if we get any that may or may not buy our laptop lease out for the next 3 years. We're going to say, the worst thing they can say is no, and we're going to give it a try and see if that's the case. We could save almost 7 figures over the next 3 years, which is kind of a nice place to be. Like I said, the worst they can say is no. We're waiting, and they got right back to me this morning on checking out the lease buyout options and everything. So we're going to apply, and then we'll see what happens. If they say yes, then we have some other paperwork to do. But it's we're working in hand with the same folks we do E-rate with, and they've always done really well with us. So I trust their judgment and everything. So that's where we are right now. So unless anybody has any questions, that's all I got.
Mr. Batten?
Yes, just a couple things, Mrs. Wells. Our cameras, which Ben's been really behind us a bit, are the upgrade to those IP cameras is almost complete, as far as I've been told. They will come back, they need to make some adjustments and so forth. A couple of them are upside down and so forth, so that they will make all those adjustments. I've heard nothing but positive feedback about the camera, so it was a much needed upgrade. Valley Fieldhouse, Valley High School greenhouse, they started constructing the walls today on that. We do have an issue which at Shortline School with the chiller. The air conditioning it's kicked off about every day. It has to be reset. I am in contact every day with all companies involved, and they are working. They're promising me they're working to resolve this issue. So starts out cool in the day. By the end of the day, after it kicks off, then it starts to get warm in the building. So we are addressing this issue later.
You're going to try to override the safeties? To see if I saw that email.
Yeah, they're looking at that, you know. But
That's
you
one
got
option.
the fine line here. This is brand new equipment, so you gotta be careful with what they're gonna do, so that they wouldn't void the warranty or anything on the equipment. But they are all working to try to resolve this issue. So, but it's a concern, especially with the warmer weather we got. You know, middle of October, wouldn't expect it to be in the 80s, but it is. But we are working to resolve it. So
I appreciate that email that you sent me. I mean, Mark is very forthcoming to these people. He is diligent with them. He's talking to everybody, and I get CC'd on items. So everyone that he can talk to, and he tells you that he is. And he does not mince words. He's very polite and very professional, but he does not mince words. And he lets them know how urgent the situation is. So, thank you.
thank you.
You want to talk about the radio?
If possible, Matt, and I appreciate everything you've done here, but if you could keep us informed about that, because sometimes I did get some calls about that,
Right.
and so that and I just called the school one day. I said, "Is the AC working?" And told me the office it was. So.
Yes.
I think that was, I didn't know what day that was. It was last week.
Yeah, we've had the issue almost every day for about the past week and a half. So, and it heats up fairly quick. I mean, when it kicks off, it may be in the text I get usually shows it in the mid-70s or so lower, but then, you know, as we know, a classroom full of students and with masks on, it could be miserable, but yes, I can do that too. So, one last thing, Mr. Cook, we talked about the radios. We are looking at, met with a company today. Our riverfront communications between our drivers and our schools is not real good, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, when you can have a driver from 100 relaying a message for a driver from New Martinsville to New Martinsville School. Well, we got issues, you know, so we are looking at that. They're talking about putting a repeater over on the high side. It used to be on American Ridge, I think he was telling us, but now on the high side.
Right in my backyard.
And possibly one in the 5 Points area to help with that area, Mannington Road out in Folsom in that area. So, Mrs. Wells, Mr. Cook and I met with, that company today that has our radios and so forth. So, I think once that's installed, that'll really greatly improve our radio communications within the county and the whole county.
It's a nice collaborative effort between us, the company, and the sheriff's
And
department.
the sheriff's department. So those are crucial. I mean, Mr. Yeager, I know you were in transportation all those years. For those drivers to be able to communicate with the schools, with the transportation department, with the bus garage and county offices, it's critical. So, I mean, it does work, but it will work a whole lot better, I think, once this is completed.
Well, it was never ideal for the repeater to be out on top of Barker or the Hoyt.
Right, we have one on.
It's too far from the riverfront.
Right, we have one at 100, a repeater at 100 area, and one on Barker, and that's all we actually have now. But, this one, he kinda described it as an umbrella, and it would kinda, for lack of better terms, rain down on the riverfront, so that would help out. Cause that's the way I said, you know, when he did that, I thought it's gonna rain right down out of Mr. Cook's backyard, right into the riverfront, so. Well, we have, Mrs. Wells, thank you very
for
much.
that.
Board members, any other questions?
Mr. Houston?
Okay, I will try to be brief, since, you know. We're just gonna go ahead and, talk about the mental health meeting. Along with, Karen Biscarriage, been working on the goals that will be perfectly aligned with our strategic plan. Also, I wanted to say that I thought the meeting the other night, with reviewing of the strategic plan went real well. I think we're made some pretty good progress on our action steps. Several of them we've already kind of hit them. We have a few that we haven't, but don't know with that. I was going to say that I received all the agendas from the high school principals for the upcoming professional development. They'll be focusing on the effective school strategies, or the goals of the effective schools. Also, the Marzano and Hattie high yield strategies will be the main focuses of their professional development that morning. They'll also be working on their semester tests, kind of prepping for that. I know Magnolia's working on Portrait of a Graduate. So I think we'll have some good professional development from our high schools on the 22nd. I've also been out in schools, I'm at Valley, and I was at Magnolia today, doing walkthroughs. Mr. McPherson sent me a tool for me to use, so that I can see exactly what schools have done walkthroughs. So if the principal says, yeah, I'm out there doing walkthroughs, I'll know if they did it or they didn't. But that's what I've been up to.
Thank you. Questions?
Mrs. McPherson?
Thank you. Start with child nutrition, just to give you a heads up, we are about 25% unfulfilled on our orders. And that's without anything to substitute in at this point. So, if you know, just continue to, please be patient with food service at this time. Switching hats to wellness, I will be bringing the wellness policy to you next board meeting. It's just a triennial review. There's a few small changes that actually, additions that need to be made. And It shouldn't be anything crazy on that, but you'll have that ahead of time. Switching hats again to the tech center for a moment. We are also working with Dr. McNally as a tech centers that work school. I'm very excited to be working with her and to be meeting with her again, I believe it's the 20th of October, to take the next planning steps and everything. We've completed the NOCTI benchmark with all of our seniors, so excited to get that data and really get into it. And we have 12 students who will be starting the Simulated Workplace Leadership Series tomorrow with the Adventure Group. We were one of 6 schools in the state, I believe, who were chosen to participate in this. So we're very excited to get this adventure started. It was supposed to start last year, but of course with everything going on, it was kind of postponed, so. There we go.
Thank you.
Questions?
Any questions? And hang in there on that food, I mean, the shortages are crazy. It's just, and it's a nightmare. I mean, think about trying to feed a family and that's hard enough, and then to try to feed a school system, I can only imagine is magnified even more. So thank you for working through that. Schools, anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Board members, any last minute questions? Not hearing any then, with the next board meeting date being October 25th at 6 o'clock, I would move for adjournment.
I'll second that.
Has been moved and properly seconded for adjournment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 6:59.